Friday, December 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Bob Harris. This is the Football Diehards YouTube channel, and it's time to go on the hot seat. But first, FootballDiehards.com is the website. It's a pleasure to have you here every Wednesday at this time. Also, Saturdays at noon for the Ask Me Anything live stream. It's very important this week. It's the championship week. Hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, all those things, and then like us or don't. As you can see, I have a guest. He appears to be slightly less suave than he is in the thumbnail for this live stream, but I can assure you, he is suave AF at all times. You know him from the Fantasy Alarm. Andrew Cooper on Twitter, at A Fiasco. He's the lead NFL analyst at Fantasy Alarm, the 2021 FSA Football Writer of the Year finalist. He's a host on Sirius. I hear him every Sunday morning at 10, like right before I do my show, and it's fantastic. And also a Reddit warrior. Not many of us are that, Coop. But tell me about that.
So honestly, here's the thing. I came up through Reddit, right?
Oh, no.
So I know. So I was born in the fires of Reddit. So people say to me, they're like, "Oh, dude, you put your stuff on Reddit, you're crazy." But I actually didn't use Twitter. I started using Reddit, and I would just write comments, and then people were like, "Oh, dude, that's a good comment. That should be its own post." So then I started doing posts, and then I talked to John and Pemba at Fantasy Alarm, and he was like, "Oh, dude, why are you doing this for free? Go do it on this website." And I went on and did it on another website, finally got up to Fantasy Alarm. So it's like, that's where I started doing all this. And I would encourage people out there, if you're looking for a place to hone your craft, where else can you post something you wrote and guarantee that people will read it? And I guarantee you, they will be mean to you. And if you do that enough, you will get better and better at this until one person says, "That's kind of neat." And then once that happens, from there on out, you can channel that energy into actually helping people and getting better. That's what I did, and here we are, Bob.
Toronto Dave with an eagle scream for me. I love it. Hello, Slade. Hi, good to see you, Royal. Hello. So you bring that up, and it's interesting because like this is a generational thing, and it fascinates me. I grew up in a place called the news groups, alt.rec.sports.fantasyfootball. And there were a series of these news groups you could find. There were hundreds of them, thousands of them probably. And a lot of us came up in that group and started battling it with each other and chopping it up. And it was very similar. I mean, it was like, so I feel like it's the primordial sludge from whence the fantasy football industry arose. There are many of the people, some of them still in this business, that's where we all started. And it was a jolly good time. Many fantasy football lawyers and other, just the usual assortment of kind of people, that you see in Reddit. I'm sure it's kind of a similar thing.
No question. And that's the thing, is that some of my best articles, some of my best research has come from me originally a thought where I sat there with somebody on the internet, strangers or people I know, and I said, "No, you're wrong." And
that's it.
And here's why. And after I did the research, not even kidding, a couple times I've done that, and I turned out to be wrong. And then I turn around and I'm like, "Hey, you know what? You're right. I'm going to write an article on that." And
this is like exactly what went on in the news group. It's like a mirror. It's like the time has come to full circle, and we've reached that. And I mean, we had such a great time. I can tell you, the people back in the day, all the guys from the early websites, John Hansen and Joe Bryant, David Dodds. I mean, the whole cast of characters that you see now, the old timers like me, we were all in there just elbows flying, and like nobody would give an inch. And it was a great time.
Stay up late and go to bed angry.
Oh,
right?
angry.
And then forget all about it. Spend so much time. Oh, it's the best, dude. And that's this community is built on. So
I suppose you could do that on X as well. I'm going to, my off-season pursuit is going to be, I'm going to figure out threads. I have a thread. I've done nothing with it, but I intend to.
My thread says follow me on X for my stuff. Yeah. And the real difference between, and I'll tell you just real quickly, I don't want to go too far into this, but the real the differences between Twitter and Reddit, one is that there are downvotes, right? So you can say on Twitter, people, if you say something wrong, maybe you get a lot of comments or nobody says anything at all, right? But you can't get to like a negative 100 downvotes the way you can on Reddit. Like you can absolutely get papered over there. And the other thing is that on Twitter, most of the people that follow Twitter is like, let's say you're Taylor Swift, right? Or not Taylor. Well, you are Taylor Swift. So let's say I'm a much lower level band. Give me a random band. You got a million of them.
Mastodon.
Okay, so say I'm Mastodon, right? I have a concert that's a Mastodon concert, and only Mastodon fans come to that concert. That's gonna be really well received. That's what Twitter is. Most of the people that
Right.
follow you already like Mastodon. Now, if I go to Bonnaroo as Mastodon and there's a bunch of fans there that have no idea who I am, and they didn't come here to see me, and they might not like it, that's Reddit, right? They didn't come here to see me. All they
Right.
care about is the work, right? So that's kind of the deal with those two websites, right? But again, you have haters on Twitter too. I see Mike Fiella here in the chat. FF
That
Daddy's
son of
home. Moderators, I said, get him out of here. If you see Mike Fiella in here, get him out.
Hit the likes, people. Hit the likes, unless it's Fiella.
There he is, dude.
He's here for the Mike Gesicki talk, undoubtedly, just to torment me for my early allegiance to. It was the touchdown was beautiful. I waited a long time for it. Coop here, if you don't know in the chat, is the tight end whisperer, official, and the man who introduced me to the likes of Young Kroll and Stone Cold Smart and all the people who will occasionally score you a touchdown if you're not careful. Unlike Mike Gesicki, who will only score you one all year long. It's week 17, Coop. It's a championship weekend. It's week 17. The benching. If you're a quarterback this week, the whole crew went down. Russell Wilson, obviously, the big name. It makes a lot of sense. A lot of money on the line. But I mean, this started Sean Payton, what was it, 2 weeks ago, when he was like screaming at him on the sidelines, like he was putting on a show for the entire national TV audience. I don't think you do that unless you're trying to make a point. I mean, coaches know where they are. They have some sense of awareness, right? He had to know every eye was on him, and he kept doing that. And it didn't look to the most of us like Russ had done anything wrong at that particular point, other than just generally not winning the game.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, and the whole thing with the contracts and all that is crazy. Like some of these, and the part that is tough to swallow is that it all makes sense. That's the part that stinks. Is that like you look at it and say, okay, 538 gives you 6% chance of winning, right? And like you know that if the guy gets hurt, it's going to cost you a ton of money, maybe even throw the franchise in the dark ages. So it does all make sense. Some of these other ones, Bobby, that I wanted to talk to you about is I don't really understand some of the other ones. Like, let me ask, Jacoby Brissett starting this week.
Brissett starting and also Tyrod Taylor. So
right, I don't know. That's the one that I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around. The Sam Howell. It's like, before they benched him, but they said, oh, we're trying to preserve his health. But it doesn't seem like a health preservation. I mean, are they just done with him and they think Brissett's better? They got nothing to play for. So I mean, what is even the point? I really don't understand the point.
I don't either. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The things they're saying don't make sense. Oh, look, I've got a hater in. It's Susio, my man. Dude, here we go. Bob Harris kicked me out of a fantasy football league because I'm a crapu commissioner who is allowing bullshit trades. I cost him a fantasy championship. Well, you weren't winning that championship, Susio, because I am a complicit commissioner. That's what I am. All right. Everybody knows me as being a total schmo. Susio, it was a good run while we had you in there, and appreciate you coming and saying hi.
All the haters are out tonight, Bob. That's the thing. I really brought the Reddit spirit with me, right?
I think you did. That's great. I love it. So anyway, I think that in the case of Taylor and Brissett, do you feel a little bit better about the associated pieces?
So I kind of went back and looked at it just for such a small sample size. And the reality is there's no sometimes you have you bring in the backup and you have the one sample size where they really honed in on one guy and we're like, oh, wow, this is great for Terry McLaurin. But he did spread the ball around. 5 targets for McLaurin, 4 for John, 4 for Samuel, 3 for Logan Thomas, even, a couple for John Bates. I don't know if it, I do think that the way I look at it is this. With a guy like Jahan Dotson, you're not going to start him in your fantasy championship, but Sam Howell is one of those guys that likes to make the magic. He likes to scramble around. Those guys don't like to throw it up for grabs, and they don't like to throw jump balls right away, which is what Jahan Dotson all offseason we watched him do in practice and stuff, right? So I think maybe Jacoby Brissett will be willing to put it up for grabs, which maybe that'll help Jahan Dotson. But at the same time, Jacoby is kind of the same flavor of player. So I don't know. It can't be any worse for Jahan Dotson than it's been, right?
No, it's totally true. And I think for all these pieces, like hopefully we're not counting, they're not on great teams. That's one of the reasons why. But, Cortland Sutton got the concussion. We'll see if he comes back, but the touchdown connection had been real. Jerry
Yeah.
Jeudy, he's on a milk carton in my refrigerator right now. Just like, I'm old enough to remember when we were drafting Jerry Jeudy ahead of Cortland Sutton, except we all weren't doing that because some of us always draft the cheaper guy. Coop, I'm that guy, always drafting the cheaper piece when those things come up. So worked out well. Oh, look, Royal.
That year, you know what? I was on Sutton that year, but I was on him because I went and did a little study on the prop bets that we were seeing from the prop lines that we're seeing from like DraftKings and stuff. And they had Sutton way ahead in both yards and touchdowns.
Yeah.
And I was looking at that and I was like, you know what? These guys in Vegas, they don't know everything, but they're pretty good at what they do. So I actually was with you on that. Plus, Sutton was cheaper, so it was easier.
Yeah, I'm old and mean and cheap and looking for ways to get around paying for anything. But also, like some of these guys, like, and we've heard this a lot, and we'll maybe get into it a little bit. But the beat writers. I mean, and beat writers I know well and trust who said he's literally been like the best guy on the practice field. Or in training camps, like, that it looks like science. I've heard this multiple years that he hasn't turned into that guy, but that guy's in him. And, you just have to, sometimes a little faith, you could wait it out. Just like there's a number of players like, well, trust levels. We're going to the championship weekend. I mean, everything matters. What is your approach? Is it like playing it safe? Are you looking at your opponent's lineup to determine whether you need to play it safe or swing big?
So I do that to some degree. Last week we had a golden opportunity to do it because there was 3 games on Christmas, so you had time to digest and sit back and say like, oh, I need to go big. It's hard to do it with a slate like this, which is the complete opposite, where all the games are on Sunday, right? There's no Monday game. There's no swapping guys out for it upside. Like you have to do it all during the week. For me, I lean into the guys I trust personally when it comes to championship week, and a big part of that is that I've done the cute thing. Well, I've done the thing where you throw in a guy that scored 2 touchdowns the week before, or, especially when I was younger, when I only had 1 league, and then you spend all off season sitting there saying, why did I do that? You know what I mean? Why didn't I just go with what I know? So nowadays I do lean into the analysis as much as possible. And I don't chase after the guys that scored, the Juwan Johnsons of the world that, 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks, and people are asking me about them. Let's look at the usage. Let's look at the, all the predictive metrics and stick with the game plan,
All right, let's look at then the Thursday night game. I know we don't like to play guys in Thursday night games because it's Thursday night. And if you come up short, you've got to sit there and lament it for days and wondering who you should have started instead. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I bring this up specifically. Joe Flacco, I was all in on last week. He was the hammer, or he was the nail. I was the hammer. Could not hit him enough. This week, it's a tougher matchup. Amari Cooper goes in as questionable. I'm guessing he's not actually questionable. This is more, when they do the resting player plus the injury, I'm not too upset. But look, it's a tough matchup. But that doesn't, like, eyeball test wise, like we get ourselves, Coop, I think, in a point where we inflate the tough matchups to unwinnable matchups, right? Because that's a tough matchup. Can't touch that. Well, this just in. Amari Cooper is playing very good right now. Right. He's going to have something to say about this matchup. How interested are you in playing your Cleveland Browns this week, the battery mates? And that would be basically Flacco, Cooper, and Njoku.
So I'm more interested in playing Cooper and Njoku than I am Flacco personally. And that's because I believe that the talented players, they're going to find ways to get them into these spaces. Because this Jets team, we know what they do, right? 70% zone with 2 murderers on the outside in Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. And also Michael Carter, too, roaming around the slot, who's one of the best cornerbacks in the league as well. And you look at the Dolphins, Michael Carter was out for that game. And then they just sent everybody in the slot and took advantage that way. They're going to find the weak spots in the zone. Njoku's going to be fine. Cooper's going to be fine. I just worry that the Jets are the classic, like, black hole team. Good defense, okay special teams, terrible offense. Wow. The Patriots, right? Patriots are like as well the black hole. And that's why the over-under is only 34.5. So I do worry that Flacco's not going to have to push the needle. Right. That's why with Flacco, I look around and say there's plenty of quarterbacks. With Amari Cooper and David Njoku, I look around and say there's not plenty of David Njokus, right? There's not plenty of Amari Cooper. So I'm still going to roll them. And on the other side, of course, it's a tough matchup on the other side too. So Breece Hall, I mean, full PPR, he's getting the targets. But I mean, if you play in like standard, Bob, are you looking elsewhere on Breece Hall? Probably.
I might be. I mean, like I'm a little more in on Hall just because the time I've been out on him, it's punished me, right? So I think we get a kind of an emotional thing, like, wow, he's going to show me. There's one other that I think is kind of a curious one is Brock Purdy, like super favorable matchup, right? Doesn't get any better. Yet he comes in 2 stingers over the course of 2 weeks that have been an issue. How much are you concerned about that?
I mean, I can't find a way to not rank him top 5 or so.
I have him 5. Just for clarity.
That's what I did.
I have him 5.
That's what I did. Well, I did the same thing as you, I bet, where I sat there and I was like, okay, who can I reasonably put ahead? I'll put everybody I can reasonably put ahead. So I put Jalen Hurts ahead and
Allen, Jackson. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then I sat there and I said, okay, that's it. Like I can't put the rest of these guys ahead because you do the math right on implied point totals. For those that might not know, what you do is you take the over under of the game, so the total points expected to score, and you take the spread. And by using a little bit of algebra, trigonometry, geometry, you can figure out how many points the team is expected to score. So with an over under 49.5 in that game, when the 49ers are favored by 12.5, that means Vegas expects the 49ers to score 30 points. No joke, 30 points in that game. And I just don't see how you get to 30 points without Brock Purdy having a decent day. So there's no other way, man. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey won. Yeah.
Right. I mean, he is the straw. There's so many talented pieces around him that are all going to excel or all have opportunities to excel. And he's going to be a piece that McCaffrey running his in notwithstanding, he'll catch some and run him in as well. So I'm hard pressed not to play him. But like I would be a little worried at a championship game going in. I'm assuming we'll see how he does in practice. If he gets a questionable designation, would you be looking other ways, or would that dial you back?
It depends what you got going on. So if you're in one of those leagues where there's just guys all over the ground, because I look around and it's like, Jared Goff is 53.5 point over under game there. He's been okay. I know it's on the road, which he doesn't do well, but there's like, I don't know. How far do you go with that? Do you go all the way down to Baker Mayfield's been okay, right? Like, I think there is a group of guys where I would say, you know what? I'll start Matt Stafford because I think it's just close enough if he's questionable. But if he's good to go, man, I think you gotta get him in there, man. And when you say worry, I mean, the more I do this, Bob, and I haven't been doing it as long as you, but I've done it long enough and picking up tricks that like my rankings it's a list of players I'm worried about. All of them. From starting at the top, you know what I mean? Like starting at the top. And they're ranked in order of who I'm the least worried about to who I'm the most worried about.
Right.
So like even Christian McCaffrey at 1, I'm still a little bit, I'm always worried about, So it's all about risk mitigation, So
if you had let's say Derek Carr going up against Tampa Bay or another super favorable matchup.
I love Derek Carr this week. I love Derek Carr, but can I sit back and star him over Purdy? I feel like if Purdy is a go at all, that I got to start Purdy. Man.
Over Patrick Mahomes?
No, I mean, I think I'm going to start Mahomes against the Bengals. I
think I have too against the Bengals, but I thought the same thing against Las Vegas. Mahomes is one now that I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go back and forth over the other piece I have and him.
Right.
I mean, I'm just there. There's a lack of trust. Travis Kelce doesn't look the same all throughout the off-field activities that people like to blame these things on, the curses and whatnot. And jinxes, but he just eyeball test wise, just like watching Amari Cooper, he's playing better than guys and has the faith of Joe Flacco, who's willing to drill that thing into a dot on his shoulder, no matter how close the coverage. I mean, but you look at Travis Kelce and he just doesn't seem like the same guy. So let's get into some questions, Coop, because the people have them. And by the way, I did enjoy the Christmas. I started my Christmas morning off with John Fusek listening. It was a great time. And also nothing better to me than starting, I sit here and I listen all Sunday morning. I get up really early and I start listening to Fabs and Fensky and then Coventry and Sislowski. But man, I start getting juiced up when I'm listening to Devender and Coop and I jump in the chat with them.
I love that when you pop in, dude, because it's funny that we're always mentioning, we're like, Bob Harris poked his head in like you do. And I love that. That cheers me up, man. And that's
It
what
gets me going.
got us on here because we've been talking about hanging out for a while.
Yep.
And we did the podathon together and stuff. You came on my show, so finally closing out the home and home. And what better week to do it than championship week? So
no better week to do it. So let's get into some questions. We'll dive through these. We'll get to everyone's questions. Relax, everybody. We'll get there. I appreciate y'all coming again, and even you, Susio. I see Royal Slade ran Susio off. I'll tell y'all a story about Susio sometime, but always never a dull moment in fantasy football. I believe he probably is on Reddit a lot. I'm just going to say. Okay. Hi, guys. Mark Stafford wants to know, Zamir White at Indianapolis, CEH at Cincinnati, because I'm trying not to rely on Gus Edwards. I would think both those guys are great plays, assuming what we're assuming is going to go on, that there will be no Josh Jacobs and there will be no Isiah Pacheco. I think these are both. How high do they rise up if that's the case for you, Coop?
Yeah, I mean the question might answer itself for you if one of the guys plays, but if they're both out, if Jacobs is out and Pacheco's out, I'm going CEH, man, because you look at this Bengals team and folks have been running all over them. I mean, Devon Singletary ran for 150 yards on this team, and I know Singletary's been pretty good, but the other part of the coin here is that Jerrick McKinnon also just got put on IR. Yep. They're not just going to go and pull somebody out of thin air, so I think CEH is going to go ahead, but I mean, I like them both.
The Derek Prince is going to be the guy who ruins everybody's fantasy championship.
I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. That's what I might. Do you ever hedge your bets that way? Every once in a while, I will go in and make like a DFS lineup. I'll look at somebody on my bench that I really want to start, and I'll make a DFS lineup, or I'll throw in like an anytime touchdown or bets. Do you ever do that at all, or you just
a little bit? Yeah. And by the way, just in case that was a question mark, I would probably rank them the order you have them, right? So just to be clear on that one, I like White more, assuming the anticipated absences of the principals involved. Can you build a strong?
So you do like White over CEH?
I do like White over CEH. I mean, they're both. I mean, Indianapolis has been pretty easy to run against this year. Yeah. So, and I think the Raiders, I mean, under Antonio Pierce, they are old school smash mouth football team. So if I was picking between them, that's what I'd pick. And I'm hoping, and maybe part of that is me hoping my Patrick Mahomes plays in this week have to come through in a pretty favorable matchup there. It's favorable run and pass. So I think both those are great plays. Can you build a strong fantasy team around a quarterback and a tight end start? No better person to ask.
Oh, man. I mean, the thing is, to me, the reason I don't usually draft quarterback and tight end early is because I believe that I can generate value. And I think folks need to start thinking about their own skill set and what they like doing. That's the way to do it. You can build you can put together a team off the wire. We've seen it this year with like Kyron Williams and Trey McBride and whoever. Like you can do it. Lean into your own skill set. Like there are some people that love reception perception. It is an amazing product, like Matt Harmon's product, and they are on every single week and they're hanging out every single week. But they start their draft with 4 straight wide receivers. And I sit here and I'm like, if you are a big follower of that, use that to your advantage and draft other positions first, right? Like if you're a big follower of mine, then don't draft a tight end early because we're going to find
draft one late. That's where the value is.
We're going to find them. So like my opinion is, yes, you can build, if you're somebody who is very good at keeping plugged into running backs and, like all the 0 RB guys that have been doing it forever, Sean Siegel, have been doing it forever and they know all the warning signs and who to add, then yeah, start with QB and tight end and don't think about it. But, lean into what you do best, it makes the game more fun that way.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. And like something else I like to do, because I like to draft a lot, I like to try all the different approaches. So I jump in the best ball rooms right when they open, right after the Super Bowl, and I start drafting. I start experimenting. It's like the laboratory, and you can kind of concoct all kinds of various strategies and see what feels best. By the time you get to August, when your real drafts are happening, the end of August, early September, you feel like you've drafted enough. I mean, we're in triple digit, best balls, you feel pretty comfortable with understanding values and where everyone is. And many of the people in the chat will be doing those drafts with me. I love that part as well.
That was us at Fantasy Alarm. We did every week we did a draft. And I felt when I got to my real drafts, I felt like Neo looking at like the ones and zeros, just like looking I was staring into the matrix, I knew who everyone was taking and who I was going to get.
That's exactly it. Oh no. How do I cope with losing in my home dynasty league by a half point? There's no coping with that, Dane. You just like rage on.
I think what you do, Dame, is you continue to be one of the finest supporters of this community. You and Scampers, two of my very favorites, and you're gonna be just fine. You know,
It is a good. They are good people. Many good people in this chat. We will get to more of their
great chat.
questions. John Fusek. Will Logan Thomas be better with Jake? Jacoby Brissett. Logan versus San Francisco. Everett versus Denver. Or Kraft versus Minnesota.
Yeah, this is a tough thing, and why I always post my rankings on Thursday, and then I repost them on Friday for free. On Fantasy Alarm, all my rankings, every position are over there for our members, but I always post them twice because with Kraft, there are so many moving parts, right? We have no idea who is going to play out of Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, and Luke Musgrave could get activated.
Right.
If Luke Musgrave is activated, then
so
Kraft.
Yeah,
Kraft could be one from that group. He could be way down the bottom. I will say this: I'm not a big Everett guy, but Everett, we just watched him play Denver like a couple weeks ago, and he did really well, and he's getting a lot of targets. And Donald Parham's been banged up, so if Parham's out, I think I'm going Everett.
Is Parham beat up, or was he a healthy scratch? I didn't even see him on the injury report last week, and he was a scratch. I thought he was maybe a healthy scratch.
So that's the thing. I think he has to be hurt because the guy that's been a healthy scratch has been Stone Smart, unless our boy Stone Smart has surpassed Donald Parham, in which case you and me, Bob, we're geniuses, right? So like that could be the case. That could be the case. But no, I think he is banged up. I think that's what's going on there. So keep an eye on that and see what happens.
Gonna double check and see if the Chargers.
Oh no, coach. It says coach's decision.
Yeah, he was a healthy scratch. He wasn't on the injury report at all last week, and he's not on it this week.
Wow.
Nick Vannett's on it, but yeah, that's what I thought when I did because I had to write up an extra update last week for that one. I'm going, damn, that was kind of a surprise. So
yeah, very strange. So yeah, I mean, Everett,
new coach.
Yeah, the thing with Everett that I always point out to people is that the ceiling is always capped because since he's joined the Chargers, he's never once played more than 80% of the snaps, not one time. And in almost 30 games now, last week he played 70% exactly. He's only played 70% of the snaps 4 times. They really don't like using Everett the way, Tucker Kraft 2 weeks ago played every single snap. They don't like doing it. So that's why Everett always has a bit of a cap ceiling. But compared to these guys you have here, I would go Kraft if all those guys are out or a couple are out, but Everett's very safe. So that's what I'm looking at.
We're in agreement. A Stephon Diggs question. In 9 straight games without 100 yards, opened the season with 5 of 6 100-yard games, and here we are struggling. The change to Joe Brady has not worked in his favor. It does not seem, but this goes back to before that. So needs 2, and this is the tough call. When are we ready to give up on Stephon Diggs? I think these are reasonable options, or at least the 2 of them I like a lot. Flowers, Reed. Reed is questionable, did not practice today. Dobbs is good to go. Lockett's good to go. Are you going to bail on Diggs for any of these guys? Yeah. And by the way, Flowers is beat up too today. Did not practice as a calf issue. So Flowers
is beat up. I'm definitely going to leave Reed out. The toe injuries, they scare me. The turf toe stuff. It sounds like nothing. It sounds like a stub toe, but it's actually a pretty serious issue. The turf toe. I would still start Diggs. The Patriots. They do take away your best guy, but he did score against the Patriots.
Who right now is the Bills' best guy?
James Cook.
It's James Cook or Josh Allen. You can't take Josh Allen away. He's going to do his thing. So I think that's an interesting one. And Gabe Davis will occasionally show up and put a damper on things as well, like he did last week.
Gabe Davis, dude, I can't believe it. Just
most untrustworthy.
Insane. Putting up straight 0 catches in multiple games. So of course he's going to do that, go off in a situation like that. So I don't know. You said you like a couple guys. Who are you really leaning on here, Bob? I think I would start Diggs because I'm just like one of the. It's the FOMO.
I think if all these guys were healthy, it would easily. I would feel fine going. It's the FOMO is why we keep playing these guys. There's no doubt about it, and I get that. If you're just being totally cold-blooded mercenary, I would play Flowers and Reed if they were healthy and all things being equal. But right now, neither of them are healthy. So Diggs is totally locked in play. After that, depending on how the practices go, maybe Flowers gets cleared up. Calves worry me a little bit. So do toes. Both of those things, calves can tend to linger or be easily aggravated. I don't know if I want to go all the way down to Lockett, but I mean, against Pittsburgh, I think I could play him.
Right.
Dobbs, I don't trust. Help me with this one. I don't
No.
find him trustworthy, even with the other piece, because like Dontavian Wicks might be out. And Reed. I mean, if both those guys are out, does Dobbs come up? And Watson, let's say 3 of those guys are out.
We've seen a lot of it already, man. And I'm telling you, early on, I thought that I really liked Dobbs, but he's just had enough of these games where he plays a lot of snaps and does nothing that he actually has ended up more towards like the Alec Pierce category for me, where I'm starting to think that he's just a really good blocker. And that's why he's playing so much,
Related question, Scampers in the house. Hello, Scampers.
Yeah.
Amari and Njoku are both over Diggs.
Yeah. Now, people think that because I'm the tight end guy, people come to me, Bob, I swear, because they want to start 2 tight ends. Well, no, but they come to me because they want to start 2 tight ends. And they ask me, and they want
knowledge there. Yes.
They want permission, but I actually don't. I don't often do that because I am a realist. So I actually would start the 2 wide receivers. The tight ends in general, it's the positional scarcity that makes us think that these games are good. When you go and look at Trey McBride's game log compared to like a wide receiver, and it's not really that good. And same with Njoku to some degree. You know what I mean? Like we look at Njoku, if he had 6 catches for 58 and a touchdown, we would be like, oh, that's amazing. That's so good for a tight end. But that's what Stephon Diggs had against the Patriots last time. And that's what Diggs has had most weeks, 50, 60 yards. Diggs has better upside. And then so does Amari. So
I would do the same, but I would say it would be an easier conversation, or at least a more interesting conversation for me if they weren't both on the same team.
Yeah.
And both playing Thursday night.
Right.
John P said, "Can I trust Waddle even if he plays? Assuming I don't play Waddle, the choices would be Adam Thielen and versus Jacksonville, Herbert versus Atlanta, or Parker Washington versus Carolina."
I think you just got to play Waddle with that crew because you got a bunch of part-time guys. I guess you could go Thielen. The problem with Parker Washington is that Evan Engram has been taking a lot of those slot snaps, and Evan Engram is since Christian Kirk went out, Bob, tied for the most receptions out of the slot of any player, tied with CeeDee Lamb. So like Parker Washington's just kind of mix and matching to me. He's like a Khalil Shakir to me. I don't know. Would you go Thielen over Waddle?
I probably would.
Yeah. Waddle has found his way into the tent in virtually every game.
You can make an argument. You can make an argument for Herbert, though. I mean, but I don't know. It's just like D'Onta Foreman, by the way, listed on the injury report once again, full participant, but they list him as personal. There's something up there that is hinky that we haven't heard the full story on yet.
We talked about on the podathon, Bob. The thing that scares me is the Eberflus comments. Remember when he said that they asked him, "How do you determine who gets the snaps?" He said, "Whoever's a better week of practice."
Practice, right? We don't know that. We're not going to find that out. I'll say this on Waddle and Mike McDaniel. If you've noticed, he said this a couple times about different players. He said about Achane, and he said it about Tyreek Hill. And, like we had a little more leeway with Tyreek Hill, but he says these guys have to tell me that they have the confidence. They have to instill in me the confidence they can play a whole game, or I'm not going to play him. I'm hoping that he's taking his own advice on this or following that same logic. And so I would probably do that. So that would be my level of trust is like, no, I don't trust anybody, but I'd probably be, it's, again,
right.
San Francisco would tell you this is not an ideal matchup.
And his comments were, he has a high ankle sprain. What Mike McDaniel said, he goes, it's a high ankle sprain, but it's not that bad.
Right.
Is there such a thing? That's what I mean. Yeah.
Unless you're Trevor Lawrence, no.
Yeah, he got shot in the face, but it's not that bad, Bob. Right? Like, I know
Susio got run off, but this is the Susioest thing ever. He comes in and introduces himself as Susol instead of Susio. This is him in a nutshell. I'll have to tell you all the story. This guy caused me a lot of work and a lot of grief, and it's a really cool league. SiriusXM Fantasy puts on a military draft where we get veterans in or active members of the service, and they have a chance to win tickets to any NFL game they want to. He didn't like a trade at one point. We were talking through it and working through the issue. He just shows up, he cuts his entire team.
No,
he cuts every player on his team and throws them out there. It's Thanksgiving night. It's 2 a.m. on Thanksgiving night, and I'm sitting there trying to clean that mess up. And he said he wanted out, and by golly, he got let out.
So somebody did that in one of my leagues when I was in 8th grade. Since then, I've never seen that happen. So,
Yeah,
but
it's
I think
insane.
I think
Good
Howard
grown-up adult.
I think Howard Bender's in the championship in that league.
No, I'm in the championship. Me and Dempsey are in the championship.
Oh,
in
he
that
didn't
league.
make it. Oh, he
No,
got
he's not in that league. And so I'm in like two.
Oh, he's a different.
Yeah, it's a different one. There was
Oh,
three
okay.
different. We did a whole different series of them.
Oh,
This is
okay,
one for the
cool.
football diehards. I'm in last year's as well. I'm in the championship in that one. I just barely edged out George Reed to get into that one. So in both of those, I will be in the championship.
So when he cut his whole team, you took his best player, put him on your team, and then you put everybody else back, right?
No, I put everyone back on his team, and I locked his roster, and it took me a long time, and it was a big pain in my butt, and I was really irritated. And then he said he wanted out. So remove me from this league.
There you go, Susie.
Your wish is my command, sir.
Congratulations.
That. Hey, Toby, thank you. You're awesome as well. Appreciate you always coming. Adam Thielen at Jags. Marcus Robinson. I want to hear this. At Giants or Rashid Shaheed, half-point PPR.
Yeah. What's funny, we were in on Demarcus Robinson, but then when Tutu Atwell came back, we said, hey, you know what? We can't really go there with him now.
Yes,
and
you
then,
can.
Of course you can. You absolutely can. So, and we know that Sean McVay, some coaches are willing to just start 3 guys, or 11 guys every snap, right? I mean, we've seen a few teams do that. Teams like the Ravens, a couple teams will never do that, right? But some teams will. So in that case, I actually don't mind Robinson at all. I think all 3 of these guys are good starts, but I really think the Rams are going to carve up the Giants. No, with 2 rookie corners out there. So
Stafford's on fire. That'd be my direction as well. Shaheed, though, took me into a league championship last week. Great game by him. Olavi a little nicked up this week. Love the matchup there as well. So it'd be pretty close. Shaheed seems like more of a you need the big play kind of guy. But both of them are capable of getting you that. I just feel like Robinson has a little more cachet overall, or a little bit more of a role or a regular role.
Shaheed and Olave both ran 40 routes, and I will say Shaheed in every game since Michael Thomas has been out has had a 20% target share. It's just, that style of player is really conducive to a bust. Whereas, so the safer play is Robinson.
I think so as well. I think we kind of touched on this, Kevin Payne, but we'll touch on it again. Logan Thomas, just generally speaking, like Logan Thomas, I have a lot of shares of, right? Because he was a guy that was going into the double-digit rounds. You think Eric Bieniemy going over there, Chiefs style offense, they tend to use the tight end a little bit. For the same reason, I was a Cole Turner guy in 20th round of my best balls.
Of course. Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. I mean, that was the thought process, and it worked for a little bit there. But I think the problem that you're running into is Curtis Samuel, Ron Rivera, he's set up Curtis Samuel to be that kind of guy. You know what I mean? And they've used him with gadget plays out of the backfield, all that, going back to the Carolina days. So it's just a little thin over there. For me personally, I like to look for consolidation if possible. And a guy that's out there in a lot of leagues that I would actually throw ahead of Logan Thomas, I do have him ahead of my rankings, is actually Chika Okonkwo. With what he's been doing lately, getting more snaps. We don't just chase 6 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. What we do is we chase usage. And his usage, going back to week 10, 11, has steadily increased. His routes are moving up. Tannehill likes him. And this guy runs a 4.52, same 40 time as George Kittle. Last year, he had 3 plays of 40-plus yards, which was the most of any tight end. And he did it on only a 30% snap share. This guy not only is becoming consistent at the bottom with the floor, but he is one of the few guys that could rip off a 60-yard touchdown at any given time.
As long as young Peyton Manning, a.k.a. Derrick Henry, is his quarterback, we're fine with that.
For sure, though. I mean, that little jump pass, I mean, it's like they have a different playbook for Tannehill than they do for Will Levis completely. And
Totally.
I like that one better.
Thank you, Royal. I appreciate that. I was ready to sit here and argue with him all night. By the way,
do Mike Fayella next.
Mike Fayella. I'm Bob Harris. He is Andrew Cooper. You can follow him on the X or the Twitterverse at I always do that wrong, at Coop A Fiasco. And check out all his content there. He posts a ton of stuff and tons of opinions and all kinds of great things. And also, he's on the Reddit. What is your name on Reddit? Coop. There it is.
Coop. There it is. Yeah, it's Coop. There it is over there. So
I was working Fantasy Alarm as well. He's a fantastic person, and I enjoy interacting with him every opportunity I get. Glad we got to do this. Chad. What's
Chow
that?
Chad. Yeah, Chow Chad TTV. He hangs out in a lot of the fantasy alarm stuff. I recognize.
Nice. A nightmare
guy,
quarterback situation in an industry league chip and could really use some input. I dropped T-Law injury, Goff matchup, and added Russ. Well, added Bryce, added Carr, Bryce, Zappy, Claymon, Rudolph, 1 of 2. So I guess it's super flex.
Yeah, I don't necessarily hate the matchup for Goff, man. I think that of that crew, I would have Goff definitively ranked
Goff and
ahead.
Carr.
It's Goff and Carr. Yeah, if you're starting 2, I have Goff ranked well ahead of Bryce Young and Zappy. I mean, those guys are not even on
Easy
the
call.
radar.
I'm gonna see where I'm at on Carr. Exactly.
Yeah, I just like the reason I'm up on Carr is because you can get him in league. He's available on a lot of ways.
Right, I have Goff like 2 ahead. So I mean, they're the easy call for me. Yeah. Other options in the situation, by the way, Tyrod, Mullins, Heineke, 20 miles. Yeah, Heineke, by the way, a little bit nicked up today too. He's limited. I think it was a calf. So that's worth watching as well.
The thing with Goff is that he's not like some of these guys. People noted with CJ Stroud. Sometimes the young guys don't do well on the road. Goff he does well from what my understanding from our QB guru John Pimba, he actually does well in controlled environments. So if it's warm, if it's if it's in a dome, even if they're playing like Raymond James Stadium
where he had a great game, right? Los Angeles SoFi had a great game.
They routinely say the best playing surfaces are the Bucs and the Cardinals, and like those for Goff aren't so bad. It's when he's got to go and play New England or he's got to play FedEx Field or some of those places where he just I don't know, maybe he has never figured out the equipment. I mean, that can happen. We've seen it happen. So I don't know, but controlled environments, I don't mind Goff.
Yeah, I think those for me are easy calls. Both of those guys, I feel really good about. I feel pretty good about it actually. I mean, the range of outcomes for Goff. It can be ugly, but I don't expect it to in this game. I think there'll be a lot of offense in this game. Do I trust Cortland Sutton if active or go with Pop Douglas, Demario Douglas at Buffalo, or Josh Downs versus Las Vegas? What do we think of Stidham? I mean, we've seen him do this before. I mean, came in for the Raiders late last season, got some done. Do we have any faith in him? Sean Payton might, or just might have zero faith in Russ.
No, he's a professional, man. There are certain guys that when they go in, I don't mind it. Like Tyrod Taylor, for instance. It's when we have these like rookies or something. Like let's say Hendon Hooker was about to start. Yep. Like that is where we'd say, wait a second. I've never seen this guy play. He's coming off an ACL. That's where it's scary. Malik Willis, like sometimes it doesn't even look like football when those guys come in. When these journeymen that have been around come in, I don't mind it. And Cortland Sutton is concussion protocol. So if he gets cleared, he's cleared. Like I'm just putting him right back kind of where I had him. And we know that Stidham went and threw it to Devontae Adams. So I would trust him in that case. The more interesting question is who to start of these two guys. Because I'm a Pats fan, they got Celtics stuff going on.
Yeah, I'm a big Douglas guy, and just I wish he was in a better offense. I mean, I still think he's the best piece in that receiving core. Sure. We'll see what Mike Fiala says. He might think it's Mike Gesicki. No, Mike, it's not Mike Gesicki. Mike Fiala, big Gesicki fan. I tried to talk him out of it, or was that the other way around? I think it was the other way around. He tried to talk me out of it.
Mike Gesicki,
his efforts.
32 of 37 routes last week. So, I mean, he's kind of sneaking on the DFS radar, I'm telling you.
Barely. By the way, breaking news here. Diana Rossini at The Athletic is saying Russell Wilson will be expected to be cut in March. Like, I don't know, once we saw today's news, how anybody thought he was going to stay around. I think my sources told me the same thing, and my sources being my brain cells.
Exactly. Something tells me he's probably already on a private jet somewhere, dude.
So I think I would have a slight lean. I think a slight lean there to Douglas in that one.
Yeah, Josh Downs did play more snaps than he's played all year.
Did. I think Pittman's coming back though.
I think if Pittman, I lost so many matchups. Thank you, DeMonte Kazee. I mean, he ruined so many. That was my wide receiver 1 in like 4 leagues. I'm not even kidding. Like I had to start some scrapper. I had to throw I had Deontay Johnson so safely on my bench where he belonged. And then Pittman got ruled out after getting cleared. And I had nobody else, dude. Had to throw him in there, got me 2 points, dude. So yeah, it's the way it goes, man. It's the way it goes.
513 rookie wants to know. Start 1. Goff, Stroud, Stafford. Notice how I have my chat trained to give me the location and the opponent.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, dude. Yeah, you and Bender know how to control. I gotta get used to that. Bender's on the phones. He's like the soup Nazi, right? He's just like
Oh, try
PPR.
Dempsey once.
Yeah, Dempsey too. Yeah, like don't ask me how I'm doing. I'm doing well, right? Like, but honestly, so on this one, it's flipped. Like I have the other two ahead of Goff. The question is whether you want to go with the upside with Stroud in an amazing matchup or Stafford, who has just been an absolute killer, man. He's been
I'm gonna play Stafford.
himself. I think
I'm
you
just
do.
flat out going to play Stafford. I'd be perfectly fine playing any of these guys, and I
Right.
probably have Stroud. I think first game back. It's a great matchup though, and looks like all his pieces will probably be there. We're seeing the usual assorted limited guys, Collins and Brown, but I think they'll both be fine to play. So yeah, but Stafford is hard. I mean, the guy on a crazy roll with great weapons in a superior matchup. I'm all about that. Best value pick, steal in fantasy drafts. The aforementioned Nico Collins is one for me. I'm going to do a Jahmyr Gibbs victory lap, but I think I was overpaying for him by the time the season rolled around. But my first, shares of him, 5th round, 4th round, I feel really good about. I don't know if that's a steal. It was more Collins and Thielen. If they could have sustained it all year, it would easily be Thielen. They just didn't sustain it. What about you?
I have so much Sam Laporta. I have a ton of Sam Laporta. I was waiting and taking. The thing is, what's funny is that a lot of people that read my articles, I'm in a lot of leagues with them. They were taking Kincaid because they knew I love Kincaid. Like Mike Fiella took Kincaid in the Scott Fish Bowl. I took Laporta. So like he was just, to me, he just presented such a great value. So I got a lot of Laporta, and then draft wise, a lot of my guys got hurt. So it's like a lot of the guys that were killing for me. Tank Dell was killing for me. Anthony Richardson felt really good.
I had Richardson for me for me as well. I thought
I lost a lot of those guys, man. Yeah. So really, right now I look around and the best one's Laporta.
And see scampers come in with an eagle scream. You gotta love an eagle scream. How about we just hit on those? Ferguson's another one. What do we think about Ferguson next year when we're drafting? Where is Ferguson going to go?
Yeah, it really depends what they do and if they do anything. If they don't do anything, Ferguson should go easily, probably tight end 6, 7, 8. The thing is, he needs targets because he's not super athletic, but he's getting 8 a game at this point. These other guys, though, McBride and Laporta, they fall into the category where you build the offense around them. They can be the Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce or Darren Waller or Gronk that you say, all right, here's the focal point and everything else is gravy. Ferguson's not really that guy, but he's been a great replacement for Dalton Schultz. So
their tight ends 1 and 2 in dynasty startups.
Laporta McBride. I think they got to be my top 5 right now. Now in dynasty, now that Hawkinson is gone, right? Because like now he might not start next year, so I'm actually going to take him out of the top 5 in Dino, unfortunately. Yeah. So it's going to be Mark Andrews, and it's going to be Kyle Pitts, man, in dynasty because he's already had a 1,000-yard season. Kelsey's in there too, obviously, but he's already had a 1,000-yard season. He's 23 years old. And we've seen this before with Evan Engram. Plays with Eli Manning, top 5 tight end. Plays with Daniel Jones, not that good. Plays with Trevor Lawrence, top 5 tight end again. So, got to be somewhere in there. Depends if maybe you go Engram if you're playing to win now, but if you're playing long term, Kyle Pitts has to be in there. He just has to be.
Yeah, he's got a long future ahead of him, and we see some of these guys a little slower burn. 3 finals, and I'm absolutely terrified. I think I'm only in 4, and I'm absolutely terrified because I spend most of my time terrified. I will be vacillating on many picks. Can we trust DeAndre Hopkins 2 weeks in a row with around 4 points? I'm probably off the Hopkins bandwagon. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Will Levis says he's going to play. I don't know that he will. And Ryan Tannehill, hopefully he knocked a ton of rust off because there was a ton of rust there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean Hopkins, he's going to finish with 1,000 yards on the season, I think, but it's only because he needs like 9. I mean, he has a couple of good games over the last 2 weeks, but yeah, I don't know. I'd rather go elsewhere.
Royal Slate only in 1 final. Man, as long as you get in some, that's what people love. A little final action. If you're not, hey, no biggie. Hit the DFS circuit. Toronto Dave, Flacco for Flacco.
The biggest measure is whether you're making the playoffs because anyone can win from there, but consistent players will continually make the playoffs.
Do we have any defenses that stand out to us this week, like majorly? Are we picking on? I mean, like some of the quarterbacks I like to pick on aren't playing now.
I'm finding that I do like the one that's readily available is the Bears. They should be rostered in more leagues since Montez Sweat came around. Since they got Eddie Jackson back, they've been a different defense, and oddly, I feel like I'm the only one picking them up. I don't know, so I would check and see if the Bears are out there. I don't mind the Rams this week against the Giants, though. That's not a bad one either.
All right, non-PPR, rookie is starting ETN versus Carolina, Montgomery at Dallas, benching Walker versus Pittsburgh and Pollard. I'm fine benching Pollard. Where are you at?
I think, honestly, it's kind of hard to bench Walker.
It is for me, too, against Pittsburgh.
I think I might go Walker over Montgomery in that case. What do you think about ETN versus Carolina?
I think I have like a blind spot for ETN, honestly.
Me too. He just usage, right?
Like he's quietly just gets stuff done, but I don't know how because I like watch him and I don't. Although I did watch a few plays this week, and I thought, wow, he does look pretty good. Let me just. What do we get?
There are a few guys like that, aren't there? Like it's like don't watch it and it's not so bad. Right.
It's like the points at the end when you're there. I mean, but the average per game is not huge, but I mean, 16.6 is not bad. I mean, it's like,
yeah. And then there's some guys that are so explosive, and you watch them, and it looks so great, and then you look at the box score, and you're like, oh, this guy didn't even play. Like Chase Brown. Chase Brown has had some of the best 13 snap performances I've ever seen from Chase Brown.
All right, Sean has a serious problem here with the defense situation. And I think he's heard you talk about the Bears before because this question was in before the last one. Asking again in case anything has changed. Raiders at Indianapolis, Seahawks versus Pittsburgh, Bears versus are the Bears playing the Texans?
They're
playing Atlanta.
Bears are not playing
Atlanta. Texans versus Tennessee. Atlanta. I see what it is. Ravens versus Miami. What else? Here are my options. It's killing me. My Burrow Raiders. It is. There you got it right.
Right. So I think you got the matchups wrong on a couple of those there.
Yeah, he does.
It's the Bears against Falcons. I've already weighed in on this one with Sean. I didn't even see this one in the chat, but I've been hyped about the Bears a little bit. The Ravens are interesting because they did just dismantle the West Coast version of the Dolphins. So I'm not necessarily off the Ravens the way some people are, but I do like the Bears. I don't know. Is there somebody else that jumps to you over the Bears?
No, I like the Bears a lot in this game. In particular, I mean, like Raiders, I think they're playing really well, and I like the disruptive playmakers they have in Max Crosby. Who's that linebacker? That insane dude. That guy's great.
Yeah, Spillane.
Yeah, Spillane, right?
Yeah, he's a maniac, dude. We've been betting the over on tackles because he's so fun to watch.
He just ends up with a ton.
Dude, betting the overs on tackles is my new favorite. It's like my new favorite thing because like on Thanksgiving we did it with Quay Walker, and I'm there with my little cousins, and I'm like, that's our guy right there, number 7. So all game, me and the little cousins are like, get him, like rip his head off, And when your guy finally gets him, it's so much fun. So yeah, betting the over on tackle. We call it the tackle monster prop. That's the one.
Yeah, and like there's some places like where is it, Buffalo, where you get all the tackles. I mean, all the tackles. Bet the overs there. Yeah. Sean has one more. Achane, Adams, CEH, and Zamir White. One of those in a PPR.
Achane's Adams. I mean, we don't know. We don't know what's going on with the running backs at this stage. But I would start both. If the starters are out, I would start both those running backs over Achane.
I would too. Provisionally starting White, then CEH, and then Achane. Just like I want to play opportunities, right? And Adams, it hasn't been great. So
keep an eye on Mostert because they're saying he's going to be limited all week and he's going to play, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was limited in practice all week.
JSC knows we're hesitant to start Mahomes and Kelsey. It is insane, but it's where we're at. I mean, when you're starting them because you're afraid you're going to be mad at yourself if they have a big game. Have really good options, so there you have it. It's tough.
Kelsey's the hardest one because he has arguably the best possible matchup he could have.
Oh yeah, for sure. Scratch and claw to make the final. Had Russ when Burrow went down. Had to dig through the dumpster now. Minshew, Rudy, Stick. Easton Stick. That's where we're at. Tyrod Taylor, Stidham, or other nonsense.
Rudy's Rudolph in this case.
Yeah, I mean,
you can start Minshew, dude. You got to start Minshew. You can't.
I think so too. Like, are we trusting Rudolph? I mean, it's a good matchup, right? But are you trusting? Was that one game sample size is not indicative of what the body of work is over the course of his career? I think he caught the lightning in a bottle.
George Pickens lightning in a bottle. The fact that Pat Fryermuth didn't catch a single pass has me a little worried. I want to see him distribute the ball. I don't want to be banking on 85-yard touchdown. I mean, like.
By the way, Brock Purdy practiced fully today.
We're back. We're live.
Let's see. Defense question: Indy versus Las Vegas or New Orleans versus Tampa Bay. Interesting.
Yeah,
I'm probably going New Orleans 9 times out of 10 on New Orleans versus somebody questions.
right. But Baker's
playing well.
Indy does get a lot of sacks. That's the one thing they got going for you. So I might actually go Indy here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I should look. But I'm not sure. I fly by the algorithm only when I feel like I need to.
I guess I could check.
Yeah, I guess I would go Indy in this one. The algorithm likes him better than I do. It's like the process is my gut. Then I check my gut against the algorithm, which is like my gut is like I'm sitting here and I'm factoring in all kinds of things. The algorithm is just crunching the numbers and spewing out the proper results without my emotional baggage tied to them.
Which is nice to have, dude. That's like what I do with my tight end rankings is I use not necessarily a formula, but I use the standards that I use. And then in my own leagues, I will start guys out of order. I'll be like, I want to start Dalton Kincaid. So I'm going to start him. But you guys, this is how we have to rank it. And, I mess up my own teams. I should go by the rankings, but
we got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to let you hit these. We're going to speed through these, and apologies for that, people, but we'll get to you. Pittman or Nico Collins, injuries aside?
Pittman.
Me too. DJ Moore is not on the injury report this week. I've got to look and see if that's a mistake. It seems odd. What's furthest you see Kelsey slipping in next year's draft?
3rd round.
I agree. We did that one. Scampers. I'm sorry.
Here's the thing. Kelsey's going to crush the Chargers, Kelsey's going to crush the Bengals.
Raise it back up.
Then he gets the Chargers, where he had 12 for 179 and a touchdown against them earlier this year. So he's going to finish this tight end one.
I did see that David Montgomery was off the field a fair amount. I don't care. Whatever makes.
If he plays, he plays.
Whatever makes Gibbs better makes me happier. Hello. Flex question. Nico, Palmer, Zamir White, Pollard, only one.
I would start Zamir White if Jacobs is out. And then otherwise, I would probably start Nico. I really don't trust Palmer. I don't trust Pollard.
And Palmer also has a concussion, is in the protocol. So
right, yeah.
Watch that. Who would you bench between Kelsey, McBride, and Connor? Ooh.
Oh man, you might. I bench Connor against the Eagles. Good matchup for McBride, bad matchup for Connor.
True. Laporta still at Dallas over Njoku versus New Orleans.
I'm going Laporta. The Jets, the touchdowns they've led up to tight ends have been to backup tight ends. Pharaoh Brown and Luke Schoonmaker. It's Laporta.
I'm not going to have any Pharaoh Brown slander here. He's totally
86 yard touchdown. He's better than Mike Gesicki. Make your play.
Not PPR. Need one. Ingram versus Carolina. Goddard versus Arizona. Ferguson versus Detroit.
I'm going Ingram. He's just been so solid, so locked in.
I would agree with that. If Pacheco sets, even with Beathard, I'd be fine with that. If Pacheco sets, I need to start 2 in a full PPR. Rank them: Jalen Warren, Gus Edwards, Algier, or KJ Osborne.
I think I would rank them exactly how you have them. Actually, I might have Osborne ahead of Algier. If
I probably would too, and I would have regretted that last week. Yeah. Yes, causing everyone problems. The need for Shaheed. Yes, we all need Shaheed. Okay, here we go. Pick one: Broncos, Jaguars, Texans.
Broncos, Jaguars, Texans.
Against Tennessee, against Carolina.
Yeah, I am in my own league. I'm starting the Jaguars. I think Broncos are that team is a mess. I can't imagine that team coming out playing with a lot of heart this week. I made that mistake. Weird. I made that mistake with the Chargers defense against the Raiders.
Hope you are doing well. Here we go. Full PPR. Starting Hall, JT at running back, CD and Puka wide receiver. You can flex Devontae and Bradford. What are we doing here? Full PPR. Starting Hall. Do you want to do? I don't see the question.
Oh, he wants to know if we should put Devontae Adams in, and the answer is no.
Oh, no. I think you have the right guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean,
definitely not a wide receiver. Maybe over ETN, but I don't think so.
Stidham is the contract killer. It's true.
Yeah.
Rich
Eisen pointed out that he also called both the games before that, so he's also part of this.
I think this is a fair guess. Atlanta's a pretty fair guess, right?
Yeah, that would.
There's going to be a lot of speculation. It'll get crazy. Hi, Andrea. Nice to see you.
If Russ Wilson goes to Atlanta with Arthur Smith and they both fail, that's going to be the most hated team of all time.
It is.
Yeah.
Pollard this far has been nuts. It is. Everyone wanted him to be freed, and here he is free, and freedom does not sit well with him. I feel like, don't you feel like this is more about the usage in McCarthy's offense, like not so much how much he's being used, but where he's being used.
He would as crazy as it sounds, if they just had a plotter to do like the other work, and he could be
like a guy like Ezekiel Elliott.
Imagine something like that, right? Like that type of player, because he has 15 goal line carries and only 2 touchdowns. Man, like clearly running him up against the wall is not good for him. It wears him out, makes him tired. I mean, just forget it.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Coop, tell them all what they need to know about what you're doing, what the must-see, listen, read items are this week.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if you just follow me on Twitter at Coupe Fiasco, everything goes through there. I retweet everything. I retweet this show. If you want to catch all my stuff, subscribe to the Fantasy Alarm YouTube. We're live pretty much every day from 1 to 3 over there. And then all my articles are on Fantasy Alarm. So it's pretty easy. And if you want to yell at me, just do it on Reddit at Coop. There it is. Leave me alone on X. Let me hang out at my own concert on Twitter, and you can yell at me over on the Reddit machine. So, but yeah, all my tight end stuff. My rankings for this week will be posted tomorrow at 6 p.m. before our 7 p.m. show. So my rankings for this week will be up tomorrow if you just follow me over there for free.
All right. You heard the man. And thank you, Royal. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Really appreciate you spending some time with us. I'll be back on Saturday for the noon usual Ask Me Anything, and there will be many questions. They will all get answered just like they were here. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Coop, thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you.